Hi everyone, so today we are going to be talking about slope. More specifically, we're going to answer the question, how do I find slope when only given 2 points on a graph? So the first question is, we need to know what slope is. So slope is simply, put it as the growth of a line. More specifically, this is a linear line. So the slope in our y equals mx plus b format is simply just where we normally call our growth, which if you remember, we say m is our growth, but now we are calling it our slope. Same thing for the b in our formula, that's our y-intercept. That did not change. That is still our y-intercept, or in other words, our starting point. So now we're going to talk about how do you find slope. So a lot of the time you are given, so far what we have seen is when you're given a graph and you have to find the slope or a table. So in this situation, I've taught you how to find the rise over the run. So then the rise is how much is going up or down, and then how much is going over. So for this graph in particular, we had our rise was going down 2 spaces and then to the right 1 space. So -2/1, which is -2. Great, that was easy and simple. But a lot of the times you're not going to be given a graph to find the slope. Sometimes they'll just give you a starting point and they'll say it starts at 3 and then say that these are the 2 points on the graph. So you need to be able to find the slope given the 2 points. And this is a very simple formula that we're going to use. It's going to look complicated, but I swear to you, it is going to be the easiest thing you do. So first you need to find out what is this new formula for slope. So our slope is our m. So what is the formula? Our slope is m equals y2 minus y1 all over x2 minus x1. This might seem confusing right now, but we're going to identify quickly what is this x2, y2, y1, x1. So let's figure that out. So basically, you're going to find 2 points on the graph, or you're going to take the 2 points that they give you. So we're going to pretend that they give you the 2 points, 0, 2. Let's say they give us 0, 2, and 1, 0. So these are the 2 points that were given to us without even looking at the graph. So knowing these 2 points, we're just going to randomly assign a first point and a second point. Typically, I just assign whichever one came first as the first point. So it doesn't matter. If you switched it around, it would be the exact same thing. So we're going to say that's the first point, that's the second point. So then you already know that coordinates are compiled with the x value and a y value. The same for both, the x value and a y value. That's how we make up coordinates. The only difference now is that x and y from the first point will now be x1 and y1. For the second point, it's going to be x2, y2 because it's the second one. So first, obviously, is x1, y1. The second one is x2, y2. Now we're going to put these numbers into our formula and quickly solve. So m is equal to, you're going to take our y2, which is 0, minus our y1, which is 2, divided by x2, which is 1, minus x1, which is 0. 0 minus 2 is -2. 1 minus 0 is 1. -2 divided by 1 is -2. So our slope is -2 still. Now, this might have been simpler and easy to see without having to do all of this, but Say, for instance, they give you numbers that are not 1 point after the next, because you can clearly see that this went down by 2. But sometimes they're not going to give you points directly next to each other to figure that out. So let's say, for instance, we go back and they give us the points -1, 4. And the next point they give you is 3, -4. So these are our 2 points. Like I said before, I'm just going to assign at random a first and a second point. So if you want to flip it and see if you get the same answer, be my guest, but it's the exact same thing, first and second. So this one could have been your first and this one could have been your second. It really does not matter. So for our first point, we have our x1, y1. For our second point, we have our x2, y2. So then now let's find our slope. So we're going to take our y2 minus our y1, just like we did in the formula. So -4 minus 4 all over x2 minus x1, which is 3 minus -1. And so then we solve here, and we have -4 minus 4, which is -8, divided by 3 minus -1, which is +4. And then -8 divided by 4 is -2. So the one thing that we are missing is we don't know what are these points called. That's the question we need to ask. So what are these points? What are these points called is our question. Because there is a name, and you will see it later in chapters and when you go to algebra. So what are these points called? These points that I picked here, and the points that are on the line, the 2 points that you pick are called lattice points. So what I mean by lattice points is, if you have a graph, I'm just going to make a quick sketch, so it's not going to be perfect, and I'm not expecting it to be exactly accurate. And get your X and your Y really quick. So let's say, for instance, we have a line, and we have our points first, and this is our line. Our lattice points would be, so if we're going to go from this point to this point, and we wanted to find what our rise and our run is, both of these points are called lattice points. Those are the points in which you make your calculations. So, in summary, the question was, how do I find slope when I'm only given 2 points on a graph? So, the answer to this question is, take 2 lattice points on the line, identify which is first and second, and finally use the slope formula. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 to solve for slope. So, in conclusion, you're going to take the 2 lattice points, which are 2 points on the line, identify which point is going to be your first point and which one's going to be your second. Because whichever one you pick is your first or your second, it has to be the first and the second throughout the whole formula. You can't assign this one as your first and this y is your first. Nope, it has to be off the same coordinate. So whichever one, you have to stick with it. decide which one is your first and your second, and then finally use the slope formula, m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 to solve for your slope. Please practice this on the worksheet given.